My husband slammed his finger with a hammer, looked at me with blood on his hand, and threatened to call the police and have me spend the rest of my life in prison if I didn't sign over all my property. He didn't know I'd secretly installed cameras in the house. The hammer came down hard on his left index finger. I was in the kitchen making coffee, morning light streaming through the window over the sink. Saturday. Quiet. Peaceful. Then I heard the crack from the garage. Sharp. Distinct. Like breaking wood. Followed by screaming. I ran. Through the hallway. Threw open the garage door. Found Mark on the concrete floor. Blood pooling on the workbench. His finger bent at an impossible angle. Wrong direction. Bone visible through torn skin. Oh my God! Mark! What happened? He looked up at me slowly. Face twisted, but not in pain. In calculation. You did this. I froze halfway down the steps. What? He stood up. Slow. Deliberate. Cradling his mangled hand against his chest. Blood dripping onto his white t-shirt, leaving dark red spots. You pushed me. You made me hit my finger with the hammer. I was working and you came in and pushed me. I wasn't even in here. I was in the kitchen. Doesn't matter what you say. He stepped closer. Voice low. Dangerous. Cold. I'll tell the police you attacked me. That you've been abusing me for months. Hitting me. Threatening me. My heart pounded. That's insane. That's not true. None of that's true. He smiled. Blood on his teeth somehow. Must have bitten his lip. Is it? Who do you think they'll believe? A man with a shattered finger and hospital records? Or his wife with a documented history of anger issues? I'd been to therapy twice, 3 years ago, for anxiety, panic attacks, managing stress. He'd kept copies of everything, twisted it into something else. You're lying. You're making this up. Sign over the house, he said, cutting me off. The rental properties, everything. Or I call 911 right now and you go to prison for domestic violence. I stared at him. This man I'd been married to for 6 years. This person I'd shared a bed with, cooked meals with, planned a future with. This complete stranger. You're serious. Dead serious. He pulled his phone from his pocket with his good hand, held it up. I can have them here in 5 minutes. They'll see the blood, the injury. They'll hear my story. You'll be arrested before you can pack a bag. I felt cold, numb, like I was watching this happen to someone else. Sign the papers, he continued. They're in the office, already filled out, already notarized. Just need your signature. You sign, I go to the hospital, we both move on. Move on? You can stay in the house for now. I'm not heartless, but everything will be mine. Legally. The house, the 2 rentals, all of it. The properties I'd inherited from my grandmother. The house we lived in. The 2 rental properties on the east side worth $400,000 each. Nearly $1 million total. All about to become his. You've been planning this for 3 months. He smiled wider. Proud. Had the papers drawn up. Paid cash so you wouldn't see the lawyer fees. Just needed the right moment. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Okay. His eyes lit up. Triumphant. Good girl. Smart choice. You always were smart enough to know when you're beaten. I walked past him. Up the garage steps. Through the house to the office. He followed. Still cradling his destroyed hand. Still leaving drops of blood on the hardwood floor I'd refinished last summer. Still playing the victim in the story he was writing. The papers sat on the desk. 3 stacks. Property transfer documents. Quitclaim deeds. Everything I'd inherited. Everything Grandma had worked for. Saved for. Left to me. All about to be his. I picked up the pen. Black ballpoint. Heavy. Expensive. Gift from my grandmother when I graduated college. Clock's ticking, Mark said behind me. Sign before I change my mind and call them anyway. Might be better for me if you're in jail. Full control. No complications. My hand shook. I steadied it. Signed my name 3 times. 3 documents. 3 properties. Gone. He snatched the papers the moment I finished. Held them up with his good hand. Grinning through the pain. Perfect. Now get your purse. You're driving me to the hospital. I drove him to St. Mary's. 20 minutes. He held his hand elevated. Moaning occasionally. Loud. Dramatic. Practicing for the doctors. Sat in the waiting room for 3 hours while they x-rayed, cleaned, splinted, bandaged. Answered his texts. Bought him coffee from the vending machine. Asked the nurses for updates. Played the concerned wife. Inside, I was ice cold. Calculating. Already planning. That night, while Mark slept in our bed with his hand bandaged and elevated on 3 pillows, pills making him snore, I sat in the dark living room. Laptop open. Volume low. Thinking. Planning. Watching. 2 months earlier, before any of this, I'd installed cameras. Hidden security cameras. Throughout the house. Not because I suspected this. I didn't know this was coming. Because Mark had been acting strange. Secretive. Coming home late. Smelling like perfume. Smiling at his phone. Password protecting everything. I thought he was cheating. Thought I'd catch him with someone. Thought I'd need evidence for divorce proceedings. Turns out, he was planning something much worse. The cameras recorded everything. Audio and video. Motion activated. Saved automatically to encrypted cloud storage. 30-day rolling backup, including this morning. I opened the app on my laptop. Found today's date. Garage camera. Fast forwarded to 9:47 a.m. Watched the footage. Once, twice, 3 times. Making absolutely sure. Mark entering the garage, alone. Looking around carefully. Checking behind him. Making sure I wasn't following. Walking to the workbench. Looking at the tools. Selecting the hammer. Claw hammer. Heavy. Steel. Placing his left hand flat on the workbench. Palm down. Fingers spread. Raising the hammer with his right hand. High. Above above his shoulder, hesitating for just a second. 1 second of doubt, then bringing it down, hard, fast, full force, directly onto his index finger. The crack was clearly audible on the footage. The scream was real. The pain was absolutely real. But the cause was all him. Completely him. Self-inflicted, deliberate, planned, then the performance. Clutching his hand, waiting for me to come running, setting his face into the right expression before I opened the door. The entire setup captured in high-definition video with audio and timestamp. I downloaded the file, saved it to 3 different external drives, emailed it to myself, to a secure server, to my sister's email address with instructions not to open unless I told her to, made it impossible to lose, impossible to delete. Then I closed the laptop, went upstairs, got into bed next to my husband, and slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I made him breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, coffee the way he liked it, asked about his pain level, refilled his prescription at the pharmacy, brought it home with juice. He was smug, confident, kept mentioning my properties like they were already completely his, talking about selling the rentals, upgrading, moving somewhere better. You made the right choice, he said, sitting at the kitchen table, bandaged hand elevated. This is better for both of us. Cleaner, no messy divorce, no lawyers taking half of everything. I smiled, set his coffee down. I know, he didn't see the calculation behind my eyes, didn't see what I was planning, just saw his compliant wife, his victim, beaten, broken. For 2 weeks, I played along, perfect wife, doted on him, changed his bandages, drove him to follow-up appointments, helped him file the property transfer paperwork at the county recorder's office, watched him celebrate, watched him call his brother, tell his friends, post vague things on social media about new chapters and big changes. I stayed quiet, calm, compliant, submissive. My lawyer prepared everything in secret. Week 3, the documents were official, recorded, filed, public record. Mark was ecstatic, took me to dinner to celebrate, his treat, acting generous, acting like he'd won. He had no idea what was coming. The next morning, Monday, I filed for divorce and fraud and domestic abuse through coercion and attempted extortion. Attached to my filing, the video, clear, undeniable, time-stamped, metadata intact, forensically verified, Mark hitting himself, looking around to make sure I wasn't watching, the careful setup, the deliberate injury, the immediate performance afterward, the whole thing, start to finish. My lawyer also filed an emergency motion to void all property transfers, obtained under duress, obtained through blackmail and threats, with video evidence proving the blackmail scheme, requested immediate temporary restraining order, requested Mark be removed from the house, requested freezing of all assets pending investigation. Judge granted everything. Emergency hearing set for 3 days later. Mark's lawyer called him that afternoon around 2. I know because I was in the kitchen when I heard him scream. Not pain this time, pure rage, shock, disbelief. He burst into the kitchen, phone in his good hand, face purple, veins visible on his forehead and neck. What did you do? I looked up from my laptop, calm, taking a sip of tea. I filed for divorce. The video! Where did you get that video? How do you have footage of the garage? Cameras. Security cameras. Hidden ones. Installed 2 months ago, before your little performance. His mouth opened, closed, opened again, no sound coming out. You can't... That's illegal. You can't record someone without their consent. That's wiretapping. I smiled, set down my tea. Actually, in this state, I can. Single-party consent law. I'm a party to everything that happens in my own home, and I consent to recording it. He lunged forward. I stepped back smoothly, hand on my phone. 911 ready. He stopped, breathing hard. You set me up. No, Mark, you set yourself up. I just documented it. I just had cameras in the right place at the right time. I'll fight this. You'll never see those properties again. They're mine. Legally mine. The transfers are done. The judge already froze everything. Emergency order this morning. Hearing is Thursday. My lawyer says we have an excellent case. Actually, he said it's the clearest case of fraud and coercion he's seen in 20 years. His face crumbled, changed from rage to panic to something close to fear. I'll tell them you edited it. Deep fake, AI, technology. I'll say you faked the whole thing. Forensic analysis says otherwise. Already done. Paid expert. Former FBI digital forensics. Timestamps match phone records, weather data, light angles, everything. It's real. Provably real. You can't fake metadata that detailed. He staggered backward, hit the counter, slid down to sitting on the floor. You destroyed me. I picked up my tea, looked down at him. This man who'd tried to steal everything, who'd mutilated himself to blackmail me, who'd smiled while threatening me with prison. No, you tried to destroy me. I just had better cameras. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Just air. Just shock. I grabbed my purse and car keys from the counter, headed for the garage door. Where are you going? I paused, turned back, looked at him sitting on the floor, small, pathetic. Somewhere you're not. I walked out. The hearing was 3 days ago, Thursday morning. Courtroom C, Judge Richardson presiding. Judge reviewed the video, watched it 3 times. Once at normal speed, once in slow motion, once frame by frame at the moment of impact. Ruled in my favor on everything. Properties returned, transfers voided. Declared fraudulent and obtained under duress. Mark charged with fraud, attempted extortion, coercion, filing false claims, restraining order made permanent. He's not allowed within 500 feet of me or the properties. His lawyer quit immediately after the ruling. Wouldn't even walk out of the courtroom with him. This morning, I got a text from Mark's number. Blocked, but it came through as a notification before the system caught it. Please, I'll drop everything. All charges, all claims. We can fix this. We can work this out. I didn't respond. Just deleted the notification, made sure the block was working, and went back to my coffee.